is a top-ranked team in that poll. Baseball America kept the Gamecocks at number 13. Vanderbilt also number 1 in that one. Collegiate baseball's ranking has USC 20th, and that's up 1 spot last week. That poll actually moved TCU ahead of Vanderbilt for its top spot. Clemson fell out of the Baseball America poll. The Tigers were 24th, and by way of losing 2 of 3 against West Virginia, they fall out. It's just the first weekend of the season, folks. Good or bad.
Plenty of games
Ride it out.
yet to go.
Don't panic. We've got a lot of baseball between now and June when teams will be punching their ticket to Omaha. Top of the hour break. We'll check back in with Corn on the other side. One last look in Atlanta before Clemson and Georgia Tech tip off. We'll hear from Frank Martin, USC, the road again tomorrow to face Georgia. More of your phone calls and emails as well. It's Sports Talk on a Monday night, South Carolina Radio Network.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
There you go. There's the picture back.
Sweet.
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Wonder what happened.
Right out. We had a lot of grandmas trying to check their Instagrams all at the same time.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
But you probably had a bunch of grandmas checking their Instagrams all at the same time.
Did they finish up clean? Everything go clean?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, just I can send you recruiting. I'll do that. I'll email you recruiting, and K-Mac can do recruiting.
Okay. Yeah, send it to me now, and I'll print it out.
Okay.
You want to keep that open till 7:55, or you just want to disconnect and come back?
Yeah, let's keep it open for the time being.
Okay.
I just sent it to you.
Okay, we're about to come back, so I'm going to bring you down here.
Yeah, I'll kill myself here.
Don't do that.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Hour number 2, Sports Talk here, South Carolina Radio Network. Kevin McCrary and the Professor Tom Hayes holding it down in studio. Grant Pope behind the glass. We're warm, cozy, and dry here in our studios. Hope you are warm, cozy, and dry wherever you are. I know there's some nasty weather blowing through. Hopefully our final little push of the nasty winter stuff, and then we can get some warm, spring-like weather that we all love here in the South.
Yeah, and, if it's going to, I guess, sleet or whatever, just keep it a little bit north of us. That'll be fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, I like the snow, watching it come down. The freezing rain, though, there's no worse weather than freezing rain, is there? I mean, it just causes havoc immediately. It just comes down wet and cold, and then it freezes to whatever it sticks to. And if it's your trees in the backyard, they're going to snap. Maybe take down a power line with them. You're going to be without power. It's just a nightmare.
No, yeah,
Roads
right.
ice over. So, it goes without saying. Be smart out there if you're out and about, because we're not used to it. We all freak out in the South. If there's even just a little ice on the road, we start panicking. So that's the way that goes. But I don't think we're going to get too much of the bad stuff here in the Palmetto State. It looks like most of it is going to be to the north of it, although I see some people on our Twitter feed tweeting pictures of sleet and ice there in the upstate. You can follow us on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. Find us there. Our website, of course, sportstalksc.com. Lots of good stuff on the website, recruiting, and we do have a recruiting report coming your way later this hour. That's there for you at sportstalksc.com. You can also go down to the bottom of the page and check out our video stream. We have a live video stream where you can watch us in person doing the show. You can hear the dog barking in the studio next to us here. Whoever is the next to us today, apparently it's bring your pet to work day, and there's a nice dog barking next to us that you probably hear. And you can hear it and watch it on our video stream. If you don't want to watch the video stream, you can also click on a link, because I get it, seeing corn up close in an HD can be frightening, especially if you have young children. There is just a link to click on the audio stream where you can just listen to us. And more importantly, lots of stories that we update throughout the day, throughout the night, even on the weekends, even on holidays, sportstalksc.com. Really, we like to think in terms of sports blogs out there. It doesn't get a lot better. It doesn't cost you a dime, no subscription, and we have South Carolina and Clemson, your one-stop shop for both of those schools. And tonight you'll have a complete recap of Clemson and Georgia Tech. That includes post-game from Brad Brownell and a few of the Tiger players, and a video recap from Corn from there in Atlanta. Another ACC game just tipping off pro in snowy Charlottesville.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is trailing Virginia by 1 point. Remember, Pittsburgh is coming off a home blowout as they knocked off North Carolina, and they're looking for the daily double if they can take down Virginia. Remember, one of their prime players, Justin Anderson, still out, but I think a cracked bone in his wrist. So Pittsburgh trying to make that annual push late in the season for the NCAA tournament.
Obviously, Saturday was a stinker.
All right, let's talk some more basketball here. Frank Martin at USC trying to circle the wagons. They're kind of past the circle the wagon stages, really. They've got to really try to get the ship on track here. Georgia, a team that's going to be dialed in after the Gamecocks beat them in Columbia earlier. But USC sitting on just 3 wins in the conference, trying to close out the regular season strong. Let's listen in on what Frank Martin had to say as he previews tomorrow's matchup against Georgia.
Obviously, Saturday was a stinker. You have 2 or 3 a year every single season. You just hope that you don't have days like that against the #1 team in the country. Because if you do, then you get embarrassed the way we did. But another great week. Georgia, and then obviously A&M at home. So no time to sit around and dwell on Saturday.
Franco, you spoke about how disappointed you were that there wasn't that fight against Kentucky they had in the previous game. Have you seen that maybe return since you guys got back, or have you seen it in practice where there's kind of a renewed attitude?
Yeah, we didn't do much yesterday. We lifted, watched some film. That's about all we did. So we'll compete today. They've been good in the past with letting go. I don't expect it to be any differently today and moving forward.
Coach, Sindarius was talking about this perhaps being a make or break point this week in the season and really here on out. Do you share those same sentiments with the guys' goal still being to make a postseason tournament?
No. That's his opinion. Respect. As a player, you're supposed to have opinions and ideas, and it's my job to help him fulfill his visions. But I don't. I never worry about postseason. I worry about today. Because if I'm lucky and blessed, will I be here tomorrow? So I just worry about today.
Mark just said on the SEC teleconference that aside from Thornton, one of the things that he thinks some of their troubles have been putting players in different positions, different things. Are you seeing that from Georgia? And then number one, and then number two, how hard is it when you have concussions and different things during SEC play to try to mix all that in? And that seems to be what y'all been going through a lot the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's I don't know, what issues Mark is having with his personnel or the personalities or whatever it may be. I just don't. I see a team that's pretty good. That's what I see. I don't see a struggling team. I see a team that's pretty good. And then with the injury stuff and all that, you just as coaches we don't sit back and say, oh God, we're hurt. This guy's hurt or that. It's just you understand that's coming. And it's I don't know who started. I think it was an NFL team that next man up. I think it was Arizona this past year. That's kind of as coaches what you do. You don't dwell on the guys that are not there. You dwell on the guys that you do have. And our hearts go out to the guys that get hurt, the guys that miss time for injury, and we welcome them back as soon as we can. But there's no room for forgiveness in conference play. There's not a 4-minute segment of an SEC game where you can say, okay, let's work on our confidence today. It's no holds barred, 18 games, and so you have to fight and claw and figure out a way to stay in the game, and find ways to win. And it's like everything else. If I start utilizing injuries as an excuse, then our players are going to use excuses, and I'm anti-excuse. It's just I don't like them. I don't want to hear about them, and it wouldn't be right for me to kind of put that into our locker room.
Frank, to kind of get back on track, would you say offense or defense needs to be repaired more at this point?
I'm not even paying attention to Saturday. Just it's I'm not losing too much sleep over that. It's embarrassing, and it's not something that that I'd like to see happen again. But I was pleased. I was pleased with how we played against Missouri. I just don't think we made some shots that we got to make. That's why we could never separate in the game. At the end they made some crazy 3-pointers and all that stuff, which kind of happens when the team's down sometimes and just struggling to find life. And but if against Vanderbilt we played well for 30 minutes and played awful for 10. Arkansas just got us. I mean, we're in a fairly good game with them early in the second half and just got away from us. But we've been playing well at home. We're playing hard. We're defending people. Offensively, I think we're starting against Kentucky. We tried some different thoughts, which is what I said, after the game, that they didn't work. And but outside of that, I think we've been playing pretty good. So we just haven't made shots. That doesn't make you play. That doesn't mean you played bad on offense. You just got to make shots.
Coach, is there one guy in particular you're looking for to try to set the tone at Georgia to try to help get you guys off to a strong start?
You mean on our team? Yeah. Well, I mean, I spoke about this the other day. Sindarius is kind of as we continue to push and prod to get guys to embrace the willingness to accept responsibility. He's done that here for the last couple of weeks, and he's kind of raised his hand, and he's been doing that. I think it's no surprise that he's the one guy that actually played with some kind of resolve against Kentucky, and I think that'll continue. And now that he's been willing to take on that responsibility, us as coaches, we lean on that. And then we help him through it and help him understand how to take advantage of that responsibility that he's welcomed. And, I thought Dwayne was aggressive against Kentucky. He just didn't make shots. I don't judge people by making shots. Dwayne's got to get back in the gym and shoot the ball like he did the whole preseason and early part of the year. He hasn't done that as of late. That's a young player for you. I remember having a similar conversation with Jacob Pullen during his sophomore year. The ball wasn't going in the basket, and he wouldn't come in to shoot extra balls. And I said, Jake, why don't you do what Denny Clemente does? He comes in every night. I understand you two guys might be polar opposites off the court, but your teammates on the court, and his work ethic is second to none. Why don't you learn from him? And Jacob actually came in a couple times with Denny, and he went from not making shots to the leading scorer in the history of the school just because he was willing to engage in that. Dwayne had to get back to doing that. He hasn't done that here as of late, and but I thought he was aggressive against Kentucky. So, we need those two guys. We need Ty to be aggressive again. We need those guys to play well for us.
I understand that it's different anytime you play a team the second time, but Georgia's going to be a little bit different team the second time with Thornton back into the fold. How do you explain that to your players?
You kind of the good thing is when you've got guys that have been through that before, they comprehend. When they go through it for the first time, they don't realize that every coach is going to make adjustments based on the first matchup. I thought Kentucky adjusted to our matchups, our adjustments early in the game, and we never really adjusted to Kentucky's little tweaks, to use Cal's words.
Frank Morton, USC, Georgia tomorrow night.
And of course,
Athens.
Georgia coming off a 1-point loss at home to Auburn, so they really have a burr in their britches.
They will be dialed in. Sports Talk. We'll be right back.
Hey, State Man, you hear me? State Man, you hear me? State Man, you hear me?
Trey Martin, well, he does remain upbeat. He still feels like they are close to getting it going at South Carolina. But, the bottom line is, from the outside, people judge progress by the amount of wins that you have, wins and losses. That's how programs are judged. I know coaches look at other things, and they can quantify improvement in other areas. And just because you're not winning more games doesn't necessarily mean you aren't getting better. But a 30-point loss at Kentucky has people feeling pretty bad. Gamecocks back at it tomorrow night. That Georgia Tech game in Atlanta with Clemson, as you expected, low scoring.
Well, Clemson has one of these deals. Now it's 13-12 with about 6 minutes to go in the half. At the 10-minute mark, it was 8-6 Georgia Tech. Clemson goes hot and cold. They have a hot streak going on Saturday, and you almost figured that they would be polar opposite now. Some of the shooting around the country, I guess, is tantamount to what the weather is like outside here in the South and East, because at Virginia, they're at the 8-minute mark, and it's something like 16-7. Virginia.
Yeah, so Virginia holds you down too.
Mm-hmm. So they're having scoring problems there. And of course, as I said before, Pittsburgh is coming off that win against North Carolina, and they'd love nothing better than to beat Virginia. This is their tournament tonight. A win like this will get you in that draw of 68, as I guess you can call it now.
All right, for those who missed it over the weekend, if you didn't see the story, USC football signee Shameik Blackshear was arrested. That happened Friday. He was charged with petty larceny, according to the Beaufort County Detention Center. And this is a bad situation if you're South Carolina, because Blackshear was one of the guys that they were looking at to maybe step in and help them out on that defensive line, give them the pass rush, help with that pass rush that was woefully absent last year. And we'll see how all this plays out. Now, this is usually one of those deals where you would be eligible for a PTI situation and you can get it expunged from your record, but it's a big-time caution flag if you're South Carolina when this kind of thing happens. And there's some rumblings out of that area that some people aren't necessarily surprised. That sometimes you read something and people go, I'm just shocked. That's not like him. It's out of character. But there's some rumblings coming out there going, you know what, this guy, some people have been looking at him for a while, wondering if he's going to get it together. And now maybe this is a wake-up call. Maybe it isn't. What does South Carolina do? In the past, with guys that have gotten into trouble, they backed away from some of them. A kid in North Carolina stole all the iPads. I think there was 20 counts of it. And they walked away from him. A guy down in the Florida area a few years ago got caught with marijuana, and they walked away from him. Now, sometimes when it's smaller crimes or you get it resolved, they still bring you in. And I think this would be one of those ones where it's going to be up to the coaches. I wouldn't be shocked if they went ahead and let this play out, and if he gets PTI, they bring him in. But certainly you better tread lightly.
Well, you have to have a prayer meeting with him and the guardians, parents, and of course
he sure can rush the quarterback, though.
Here's a guy who committed and never wavered. He never even went through the recruiting tap dance. He just committed and said, "Here I am."
Hey, Steak Man, you hear me? Graham?
So we had envisioned for sure. You know, we've got a long ways to go, but we played a good team. They were scrappy. They did a good job offensively against us. You know, I think we just kind of hurt today. You know, we did a big hit and we hit into 3 double plays.
Hello.
We give them credit. They turned over 3 double plays when they had to.
Okay, did you get the reset recruiting info? No, it's not halftime yet.
You know, they kept coming at us all day long, and our kids, you know,
Hold on,
instead of many base hits.
Did you get the?
You resent one?
Yeah, because I've added some additional stuff to it. I emailed it to you.
Okay, let me grab it.
Okay. We're 6 minutes away from halftime.
Okay.
Y'all getting ready to play some jack?
I found some. I got to rip it.
We had some on our website.
Well, yeah, it's the link.
Yeah.
But of course, that link is quasi-faulty, so.
Bum, 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 bum. I'll get back to you.
Correction.
Okay.
Offensive foul on number 20, Jordan Roker. His first 15.
All right, we're approaching halftime in Atlanta. Clemson and Georgia Tech still locked up in a low-scoring affair. Pro, you have a quick update there, and we'll check in with Corn at halftime.
Yes, we're about 6 minutes out, and Georgia Tech leading 17-14 in Atlanta. It's not 19-14 Georgia
19-14 Georgia Tech. Okay, approaching the half there. And we'll hear from Tiger baseball coach Jack Leggett coming up. But right now, it is time for recruiting. Corn in Atlanta, but recruiting here in my pause, and it's about to go directly in. John Jones, 210 of Orlando, attended USC's junior day in late January and plans to give the Gamecocks a look through right now, although he has a top 3 of Michigan, Duke, and Kentucky. He said he loved his experience at USC, so the Gamecocks are showing a lot of interest. He wants to go to school for business, and their international business school is ranked number 1, and that sits well with him. Jones plays Mike and Sam linebacker. Last season he had 120 tackles and 5 sacks. He of course, spent time with the Gamecock defensive staff and left a clear understanding of their impression of him. He said they definitely would like to get to know him and give him a chance to potentially start on their defense. They like the way he hits. They like the way he plays downhill. Jones said he heard from USC late last week when his offer was made, though the Gamecocks are not his current favorite or even his top 3. He will be considering them through the recruiting process, and he wants to make a decision by the end of spring. He also plans to attend junior days at Miami and Duke, and he has offers from Central Florida, West Virginia, Louisville, NC State, Florida Atlantic, and others. Wide receiver Brian Edwards out of Conway High School. He spent Sunday at Wake Forest for the Demon Deacons junior day. That was his second junior day visit, and he was at USC last month. Edwards said he toured the campus and the football facilities and was impressed by the academic side of the school and the fact that the classes at Wake Forest were smaller. He was also excited about the future of the football program under second-year coach Dave Clawson. He said they've got one of the better recruiting classes Wake Forest has ever had, and he spent a lot of time with his recruiter, Kevin Higgins, who is the former head football coach at the Citadel, and he believes Coach Clawson will be successful. Edwards has been favoring USC, and he said that remains the case with Wake Forest, Duke, and Florida also high on his list. He's been in touch with Steve Spurrier Jr. and plans to return to Columbia for a visit during the spring for the spring game. He's also heard from new Florida coach Jim McElwain about coming in for a junior day in Gainesville. He's not hearing much from Clemson at this point. He wants to see what offers he gets this spring before closing in on a decision, which he plans to make around the start of fall practice. He also has offers from Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Cal, and Kentucky. Edwards does plan to graduate in December, so he'll be enrolling in January. There it is, recruiting. For more, you can head over to our website, sportstalksc.com. All these stories posted there for Gamecock-specific recruiting. Go Gamecocks.com. Go Upstate. Recruiting is everywhere, and then some. Even places you probably don't want it to be. All right, we have Jack Leggett standing by. Let's listen in. Jack Leggett, tough weekend for the Tigers. They dropped 2 of 3 against West Virginia, a costly error. And yesterday was really the deciding factor, turned momentum in that game, and the rubber game going to West Virginia. So Jack Leggett's squad dropping 2 of 3 against the Mountain weekend.
That's what we had envisioned for sure. You know, there's one ways to go, but we played a good team. They were scrappy. They did a good job offensively against us. You know, I think we just kind of hurt ourselves a little bit today. You know, we didn't get a big hit. We hit into 3 double plays, and that's a tough thing to do. You got to give them credit. They turned over 3 double plays when they had to. And, you know, we just, that one inning, the 5th inning, I think we just blew up a few 100 runs there. It kind of hurt us, but, you know, they kept coming at us all day long, and our kids, you know, we almost did as many base hits we just didn't fast count, you know. And I think that we got enough arms to make this a very good season before it's all over, and we just got to get our, you know, hitting together and you know, get some big hits from on base.
When you go back and you look at this weekend, you try to observe, okay, what can you improve on? Obviously, that's one. What are some other things you got to improve on?
Well, for the most part, other than that one.
All right, we lost Leggett there. The lawn equipment maybe drowning him out there. You can always count on the lawn equipment playing when
unbelievable.
When Jack's doing his
you
post
talked
game.
about that error that was in the 5th inning. I think that opened the floodgates for 3 runs, and Clemson, the Mountaineers are never headed. Clemson, of course, offensively sort of anemic over the weekend, but they'll get the bats going. There's no doubt about it. But a blow to lose that first series to West Virginia, no doubt.
Yeah, and you know, Leggett is definitely coaching with some pressure. I mean, maybe coaching for his job is an extreme statement, but I don't know that it is an untrue statement to say that Jack Leggett is going to have to win some games, make some noise in the postseason, and show improvement. They have another flop in the regional, a quick exit in the ACC tournament. It could be trouble because, unfortunately, his fans have turned on him. They really did. They turned on him last year towards the end of the year. I think it's unfair, but the bottom line is that's the way the business works now, and it is a what have you done for me lately business. The Clemson baseball program has not fallen off the map.
No.
But they're not in the top 25. They haven't been Omaha in a few years. They haven't made a serious run in the postseason in a couple of years, and that has people antsy, and that has people wanting signs of improvement. So I think, you know, it's way too early in the season to get a grasp on this team. I haven't watched them play one inning, but in a couple of weeks when the big rivalry series takes place, that's going to be really the first chance where you see what these teams potentially are made of, because that's a regional type setup, a postseason type setup between 2 teams that want to go deep in the postseason.
Yeah, and one of the team leaders, Tyler Krieger, was saying after the game that he plays shortstop, but I think he's still shaking off an injury, so he's DHing right now. But he says he's 72 hours. He said this team is worthy of the NCAA, and he said 72 hours later, even though we've dropped this series, I still believe in this team. So they've got the team leadership there. I think the key factor, K-Mac, is all the time a coach always feels pressure, but in order to get his team to play loose, that pressure cannot be transferred into the locker room. That's one of the keys, because guys start to press after that. And I thought at times last year Clemson was pressing and that only leads to failure. So if this team can stay relaxed and get it going, because this Atlantic Coast Conference is not the Atlantic Coast Conference it was, say, even 10 years ago. I mean, every team in this conference can knock you off. Now, you do get some – you say, well, you get some relief because Maryland's gone to the Big Ten. No, you don't, because now Louisville is there, and they're just as good or maybe even better than the Terrapins were last year. So the ACC baseball is getting tougher and tougher each year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And college baseball as a whole is tougher now. There is a lot more parity in college baseball than even 10 years ago. That has changed with, I think there's probably a lot of factors, but the biggest is that more schools are putting money into college baseball now. They're investing in college baseball. It is not a throwaway sport. It still is at some schools, but almost every major school in the South, in the Atlantic Coast Conference and the SEC, they're invested into baseball. And other schools now, even up north, are starting to invest more money, time, and resources into it. So you have a lot more parity, and it's not as easy to get on these big runs and just dominate the way Clemson did in the ACC for so many years, and many of those years with Jack Leggett running the show. Now there is a bigger fish to fry. But what I don't get, though, with Leggett and all this pressure, I mean, I look at Florida State, and Martin's never won a national championship in all those years at Florida State, but he has been a consistent winner, and in some years Clemson's handed it to him. They have had down years too. No one's talking about firing him, or down in Miami, the Hurricanes, and they've got a legendary program, a legendary coach. They're not talking about running him out of town just because they've been down a little bit. You have to ride out the storm a little bit sometimes and let it work itself back. But when you're putting that extra pressure from the outside with your fans doing it to you, it makes it a lot more difficult, I think, to continue going forward.
Well, I think you danced around the issue, and we know exactly why the pressure is on Jack Leggett, unfortunately, and that is all about what your rival has done. And even though it's 4 years removed, South Carolina with those 2 national championships, where's ours?
Mm-hmm.
Where's ours? Just like for years, South Carolina, well, Clemson won a national championship. Georgia's got one next door. Where's ours? Where's ours? So it's always about what your neighbor is doing, unfortunately.
The 11th ranked Red Devils hosting number 21 Lions. What an atmosphere. Second quarter, Lions. 5-4 Red Devils work it to Matt Rafferty, and he rings up the triple. It's 13-12. Still early in this one, though. Third quarter now, 30-25 Lions. Harrison Niego with the
right, we're coming up on halftime here.
Would you like to join us here, Corn?
Yes, perfect timing. How's the signal?
Been granted.
How's the signal?
Not too bad right now.
Oh. Awesome shot of the buzzer. Blossoming game. Shot at halftime. Buzzer rings out. Tell you what, for a technical school, their internet is daggone slow. Come on. Are y'all able to see the game? Have K-Mac take it back and bring me in, please.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the court the Georgia Tech Gold Rush.
It seems to be a trend this college basketball season. A lot of low-scoring games. At the half in Charlottesville, Virginia leads Pitt 25-15, so the Panthers on pace to score 30 points in that game. Virginia on pace to score 50.
It's the weather.
More points in Atlanta, but not many more. Georgia Tech holding on to a 23-21 lead, so we'll see. Maybe the first one to 50 will win this one. Let's check in with Korn, who's, well, not courtside, but he's in the building there in Atlanta watching a lot of defense. Defense wins championships, I guess. No, and I guess Korn just, all those bricks.
And somebody played
one of them knocked his line off.
Yeah.
I heard him. There he is.
I'm here now.
Yeah, there we go.
We had a little freezing up of the line, no pun intended with the weather like it is outside. But, yeah, Georgia Tech goes scoreless for the last 4:23 of the half. I'm sorry, 4:12 of the half, and gave Clemson a chance to get back in this thing. Blossom Game had a shot at the end of the half. It rimmed out, did a complete lap around the rim, came out 23-21, Georgia Tech over Clemson. To answer your question, K-Mac, the problem is that most teams don't have shooters anymore. Everybody's so busy working on their dunks and their three-point shots, they forgot about the 15-footer pro. They forgot about the intermediary game. It's either slam or three for kids these days, and the result is you don't have many great pure shooters out there beyond those teams that are the great teams.
Well, I tell you what, let me put it in a positive fashion. I think a lot of coaches now are looking at a guy's defensive quickness before they look at his basketball skills. If you stop somebody, that's who they pick. It's almost like they're going defensive in college basketball. If you got a jump shot and can't guard anybody, so long, can't see. Gotta guard somebody.
It's really turned a lot of people off of the game, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just a casual fan. There's a lot of people, when you talk to them, it's like, I can't watch college basketball anymore. It looks like bad basketball when you have not just a few teams, but a lot of teams. It's not uncommon now to see teams in the low teens at the half and final scores in the 40s and 50s, and that's really not an exciting brand of basketball to watch unless you're talking about junior varsity girls, Corn.
Well, Corn, here's the key. I want to ask you this question. Clemson, were they seduced in maybe taking too many threes tonight, or are they trying to work the ball inside? Because sometimes when you bottom out a lot of threes in one game, you start to fall in love with it the second game.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're 1 of 7 in this one from three-point range. So they haven't taken a heavy number of three-pointers. They haven't made much of anything. 10 of 27 from the floor, 37%. Where Brad Brownell, I think, is going to be upset with his team is defense. And strange to say that when you only give up 21 points, but only 23 points. But there were several times that Georgia Tech just flat beat Clemson off the dribble, and their guards got great penetration, neither got to the rim or were able to dish it off to one of their big guys. They couldn't always finish, but you did see Clemson's defenders getting beat off the dribble with regularity, which is something you don't normally see from a Brownell defense at Clemson. Blossom Game leads the Tigers. He's got 6 points, 5 rebounds. Roper had those 2 baskets early, hasn't scored since. He's got 4 points. Grantham hit a 3. He's got 3. And Ajukwa and Hall, they've got 2 each. And Noko's got 4 and 3 rebounds. No Tiger in serious foul difficulty. Ajukwa's got 2. Clemson shot 42%. And from the line, the Tigers were only 2 of 6, and they had 6 turnovers. And so the numbers not real impressive. For Georgia Tech, leading scorer in the first half, Josh Heath with 6, and DeMarco Cox with 6. Cox also with 4 rebounds. Rebounding battle is pretty even, 16-15 in favor of Clemson. Tigers turned it over 8 times. Tech turned it over 6 times. Tech shot just under 42% in the half. So, K-Mac, I hear what you're saying about the low-scoring games, but what it does create is close finishes, as ugly as it might be. You're going to get games within 2, 4, 6 points, which makes for exciting finishes, and we're heading that direction with this one at 23-21 at halftime.
Now, as far as inside play is concerned, we've heard we're trying to get it to Noko, Jite trying to rebound better. How the inside players played tonight for Clemson?
Well, Noko's taken 6 shots. He's made 2. He's got 4 points. He's got 3 rebounds. He's got 1 assist. So he's not lighting it up in there, but he has had his opportunities. Jite hasn't taken a shot. Blossom Game has lived mainly outside, as has Grantham. So, the only inside shots they've gotten, Smith hasn't taken a shot either. So the only inside shots they've gotten are from Noko, and he's 2 for 6. I don't know how many of those would be stickbacks, but dadgummit. I lost sight of my clock.
You don't say. We bring you in for, a nice little stand-in session because we're kind and generous.
Did you get me out clean?
Yeah. I don't know how many of those are putbacks. Music.
Okay. Do they need me, or can we cut me loose?
Might as well cut you loose, sir.
You didn't get K-Mac my updated recruiting. I was listening. He didn't get the updated notes.
No, I gave him the new one.
No, he didn't read it.
Oh, I didn't see you didn't. Yeah, we'll mention him here.
He can if he wants to. I can't hear him. I see him talking. All right, tell Pro that I'll put the post-game audio, but of course there'll be a story up on the website. He can get it there. And tell K-Mac I got his email about he's going to the baseball game tomorrow. That's cool.
Okay,
I'll check in with you. I'll check in with y'all. Anybody need me for anything? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
No spells, no.
Okay. All right, y'all have a good one. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Excellent. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Remind K-Mac to remind everybody to check out the website and Twitter for postgame.
Got it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Night.
All right, I was informed that I did not have the updated recruiting. So I didn't have these final two notes. One, I'm going to jump to now. I'm going to give them both to you now, actually. I have the full recruiting report, so apologies there. I didn't realize, Pope, that we had new recruiting while I was doing the old recruiting.
It's updated on the fly.
That's how fast recruiting moves. All right, defensive back Nick McLeod of South Point made an unofficial visit to USC Friday. He has not been offered by the Gamecocks, but he is drawing interest. He does have an offer from Appalachian State. And a basketball note, USC target 6'10" Levi Cook of Huntington Prep, West Virginia, has set official visits with Pittsburgh and Missouri for March. Cook said Monday he also plans to take an official to USC, but has not set the date. He said he has a strong interest in the Gamecocks, but no favorite. There you go.
And
now,
of course, he was supposed to visit, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and they wanted to push the visit back. Did
hold
USC?
On. Yeah, and they might want to try to get everybody feeling a little bit better before they bring in their recruits. That's what it's going to come down to now if you're South Carolina. They've got to get guys in, more bodies. PJ Dozier is going to help, but that's not going to be enough. They need to get a talented big man. They've kind of easier said than done. Yeah, they're not growing on trees. They thought they had a pretty talented one in James Thompson. They weren't able to get him into school. Shamik Shepard's playing now, but he's still not 100% with a knee injury. They really weren't able to upgrade their interior in the offseason last year.
They've got a good athlete coming in, and Chris Silva, 6'10" guy out of New Jersey. And what they actually need is a rim protector. That they've had some rim protection, but it's not aggressive or adroit enough to be consistent, because sometimes you get players inside South Carolina that feel they want to block shots this game and then just are reticent to even go inside the next game.
Yeah. Baseball note, Coastal Carolina beat Canisius 13-3 today, and those two teams will play again tomorrow. Coastal Carolina now 2-1 on the season, so the Chanticleers with a victory there. All right, that's just about do it for us. Now, if you're looking for updates from Clemson, Georgia Tech, they're going to start the second half there very soon. We'll have those for you throughout the second half at Sports Talk SC. Give them a follow on Twitter. Corn will be live tweeting from Atlanta, and after the game, head over to sportstalksc.com, and you'll have a post-game story that includes audio of Brad Brownell and players and a video recap from Corn. So check all of that out on the website, sportstalksc.com.
And I'm assuming, well, maybe I shouldn't assume, but I'll say it.
I've heard that's not a good idea.
Probably they bust in. So Brad Brownell's speech at halftime said, look, we got a long bus ride coming after the game, so we might as well make it a good one. Can we please win this game?
We're not stopping at McDonald's if you don't win this one, boys. We're going to go straight back. Straight back. There won't be any Frosties. Okay, that's going to do it for Corn in Atlanta, for the Pope. Kevin McCrary here. Have a great Monday night. We'll see you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.